I just wanted one normal night. That's all I was asking for. Not even a good night. Just one that didn't feel like I was unraveling by the hour. The silence in my apartment had become so loud lately. Louder than it ever was when we were together. That kind of silence, the kind that creeps under your skin, it changes you. We'd been broken up for 3 weeks. No screaming, no cheating. Just that empty kind of breakup where things slowly fall apart and no one can stop it. He took his things. I kept mine. And the little rituals we shared, Wednesday night pool at dive bars, long walks after 2 beers, laughing at bad jukebox songs, those went with him. So that night, a Wednesday of course, I grabbed my coat and told myself I needed air. Just air. Not him. Not the past. I ended up at the 8 Ball, one of our regular places, a beat-up dive where the floors are always a little sticky and the lighting feels like it's stuck in 1982. The smell of beer-soaked carpet hit me like a wave when I walked in. I nearly turned around, but the jukebox was playing some Springsteen track, and there was something comforting about that. Familiar. Ghostly, even. I ordered a whiskey and sat at the bar alone, pretending I was fine. I wasn't. After 20 minutes, a guy walked in, mid-20s maybe, wearing a gray hoodie and dark jeans. He clocked me quick and smiled, that sort of practiced smile people give when they want something. "You play?" he asked, nodding at the pool tables. I didn't say yes right away, but then I figured, what the hell? I needed the distraction. I needed to remember I still existed. We played. I won, twice. He bought me drinks after that, teasing me about being a shark in disguise. I laughed, a little. His name was Max, or at least that's what he told me. We talked about nonsense, movies, weather, and hometowns. He said he was from out of town, that he liked quiet bars, that he was just passing through. He was charming enough, but something about him felt wrong. Not on the surface, but underneath, like something was vibrating out of tune. Have you ever felt a draft in a warm room and suddenly you're freezing? That's what it was like. It crept in slowly, just enough to make me uneasy. After a while, he leaned in and asked if I wanted to head back to his place. I laughed, tried to make it light. "Rain check," I said. "I'm not that easy." His face changed, like a switch had been flipped. Gone was the flirty grin. What took its place was this cold stare. Predator cold. His fingers wrapped around my wrist hard enough to make my skin crawl. "Come on," he whispered. "I spent money on you." And then, in one quick move, he snatched my purse. I froze. Just like that, my entire body stopped working. I couldn't scream, couldn't move, just froze. This is how things go wrong, I thought. Not in alleys, not in horror movies, in bars, on Wednesdays, in the middle of what feels like a normal night. Thankfully, someone else saw it. 2 older guys, maybe in their 50s, stood up from their stools. "Let her go," one of them said, calm but firm. The man, Max, or whatever his name was, glared at them, then at me. He threw my purse down like it was trash and stormed out into the night, just like that. I thanked the men over and over. They told me to be careful, that the world's not what it used to be. I nodded, heart still slamming in my chest, and called an Uber. I thought it was over. It wasn't. The Uber was a quiet ride. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I remember is the driver gently shaking my arm. I got out, thanked him, and walked to my front door. That's when I checked my phone, and my blood ran cold. AirTag found moving with you. I didn't own an AirTag. I didn't even think I knew anyone who did. My fingers trembled as I opened my purse and dug through it like a madwoman. Wallet, lip balm, old receipts. and then I found it. A small, round white disc, no bigger than a quarter. I couldn't breathe. He had planted it. That man. While I was playing pool. While I wasn't looking. I dropped it on the sidewalk and stomped on it until it cracked. Smashed it again, just to be sure. But it didn't matter. He knew where I lived. I ran inside, locked the door, and then double-checked every window. I even pulled the blinds down in the bedroom, something I never did. I paced the house like a caged animal, heart pounding so hard I felt it in my teeth. Then I saw it. Out my front window, a beat-up Lincoln, dark green, or maybe black, rolled slowly past my house. I ducked behind the couch and watched it circle the block once, twice. On the third pass, it slowed almost to a stop. The driver's side window rolled down just a few inches, and I saw it. A hand, pale, veiny, gripping something, sharp. A knife. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stayed frozen, hiding behind the couch like I was 5 years old again. The car idled for what felt like an eternity, then finally rolled away. But the fear, that stayed. The next morning, I told my parents. My dad made a call to a police chief he knew, but without a plate number or solid proof, they couldn't do much. "Keep your doors locked," they said. "Call if anything happens." Anything. Everything had already happened. I started watching the street like a hawk. Every car that drove by made my heart race. Every shadow became him. I barely slept. I didn't go out. I kept my phone in my hand, like it was a weapon. Nights were the worst. I'd sit in the living room with all the lights off, peeking through the blinds. I kept a baseball bat next to my bed. I couldn't stop thinking about how close I'd come, how easily he could have followed me home, broken in, done God knows what. I've never felt so hunted. You grow up hearing about monsters. They hide under beds, in closets, in nightmares. But the real ones, they wait at bars. They smile when they talk. They touch your wrist and act like they own you. They plant things in your purse and drive past your house with knives. And sometimes, they show up when all you wanted was one normal night. They say routines are safe, that sticking to a schedule is good for your mental health, especially when you live alone. And up until a few weeks ago, I would have agreed. My name's Jake. I'm 34. No wife, no kids, no dog, waiting at the door. I rent a modest apartment on the edge of town and work nights tending bar at a high-end rooftop lounge. It's the kind of place where the floors are polished until you can see your reflection, where the liquor costs more than rent in most cities, and where the people ordering the drinks pretend they're important, even if they aren't. And I liked it that way. The illusion, the detachment. I'd serve drinks with a smile, nod at the small talk, and vanish into the early morning like I never existed. I didn't make friends. I didn't go to after-hours parties. I didn't even drink much myself. My life wasn't exciting, but it was mine. Predictable, quiet. Until the man in the jacket showed up. It was a Friday. The kind that's busy before the sun even dips below the skyline. I was behind the bar, halfway through mixing a round of cocktails for a bachelorette party, when I saw him walk in. I felt him before I saw him, actually. The way the air seemed to shift, like static in the room. He didn't belong there. Everything about him screamed wrong. He wasn't dressed for the venue. Old leather jacket stained at the collar. Hoodie pulled tight around his face. His hands were clenched, and his jaw was tight. I remember thinking he looked like a glitch in the simulation. Everyone else was sipping spritzers and flashing fake smiles. And then there was this guy, like something from another life, or another world. He made a beeline for me, didn't sit, didn't browse the menu, just stared. "Double Jaeger," he muttered. I blinked. That alone was strange. No one orders Jaeger here, not unless they're trying to make a scene. But I poured it, keeping my expression neutral. When I placed the glass in front of him, he dropped a crumpled wad of cash on the bar. Then he looked me square in the eyes and said something I'll never forget. "I told myself I'd find you one day, Jake, and now I have." Then he walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and vanished before I could say a word. I stood there like an idiot, drink in hand, heart suddenly hammering in my chest. Who was he? How did he know my name? I racked my brain. I've worked at 6 bars in 3 different cities. I've met thousands of people over the years. Faces blur together. But his? I'd have remembered that face. I finished my shift, pretending it hadn't happened. Told myself it was a mistake. Maybe he had the wrong guy. A mix-up. I've got a common name. It happens. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I live in a small upstairs apartment. 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Nothing fancy. But it's mine. It's quiet, or it used to be. I remember waking up in the dark. The clock said 3:12 a.m. I didn't hear a noise. It wasn't a sound that woke me. It was a feeling, like the air wasn't mine anymore. My eyes adjusted slowly. The room was dim, moonlight casting long shadows through the blinds. And that's when I saw it. A figure in the corner, standing, watching, not moving. I froze. My brain went numb. My breathing slowed. I tried to convince myself it was a coat, a trick of the shadows, anything. But no, this was a person. I could see the outline of his shoulders, the slight rise and fall of breath. He was just standing there, like he was waiting for something. I played dead. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. But I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just lay there, staring, praying. Then I sprang. I screamed as loud as I could and shot out of bed. The figure darted for the door. I chased him, barefoot, half-dressed, adrenaline surging. By the time I reached the living room, the front door was wide open. The night outside was quiet. Still, not a soul in sight. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and turned on every light in the house. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I called the cops. They were there in 10 minutes. Kind, professional. They checked the place top to bottom. No sign of forced entry. Nothing broken. Every window was locked. Every door is secured. They searched the surrounding area, took a report, and even watched the security footage from the bar. And yes, he had been there. Clear as day. Walked in, ordered a drink, spoke to me, walked out. But here's the thing. They couldn't figure out how he got into my apartment. No fingerprints, no signs of entry, nothing. But that wasn't the worst part. Back in my bedroom, lying exactly where he had been standing, was a kitchen knife. One of mine. From the drawer in my kitchen. Which means he didn't come armed. He found the knife after he got inside. He had been in my home long enough to find it. Long enough to stand there. Watch me sleep. Maybe even change his mind. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next one. For days I kept every light on. Bought cameras. Changed the locks. I even stayed at a friend's place for a week. But nothing happened. And eventually the cops stopped calling. I went back to work. I had to. Life goes on, right? Except it didn't. Not really. I stopped enjoying the quiet. I used to find peace in the solitude, the way my life could fade into the background. Now, every creak in the floorboards makes me jump. Every knock on the door tightens my chest. I started scanning every face that walked into the bar, watching for that jacket, that look, that feeling. But he hasn't come back. And that's the part that haunts me. Not that he found me, not even that he got inside, but he left, that he could still be out there, watching, waiting. Because now I know something I can't forget. He didn't just want to find me. He already knew how to get in. I've worked in bars for a long time. Too long, maybe. If you've ever done it, you know what I mean. Nights blend together, faces blur, music never stops. And you get good at spotting patterns. Who's about to start a fight? Who's too drunk to stand? Who's gonna tip? And who's gonna treat you like furniture? But every once in a while, something breaks the pattern. Something you feel before you even understand it. That happened to me a few months back, and I haven't been the same since. My name's Derek. I bartend at a loud, busy bar just outside of Philly. We're not downtown, too far for tourists, but we're popular with the college crowd. Packed on weekends, always buzzing. Sticky floors, low lights, cheap beer, and a DJ who plays like he's allergic to silence. And I love it. Always have. The pace, the chaos. It keeps your mind from wandering. That's what I liked about it. It kept me from thinking too much. That night started like any other. We were slammed. Wall-to-wall college kids blowing off steam, shouting drink orders like I had 12 hands. Lisa was working the opposite side of the bar. Lisa, who's got a memory like a steel trap and eyes in the back of her head. If someone spilled a drink 2 tables over, she'd know before they did. We were in the weeds, but I was in the zone, lining up shots, wiping down spills, doing the bartender dance. That's when I noticed them. An elderly couple, just sitting there, in the corner booth, not talking, not drinking, just sitting. They didn't belong there, not because they were old. I've served older folks plenty of times, but because they looked wrong, out of place in a way that felt intentional, like they weren't just in the wrong place, but didn't care. At first, I brushed it off, thought maybe they were someone's grandparents who stopped in to see what all the fuss was about. But something about them itched at the back of my brain. They weren't looking at each other. They weren't on their phones. They weren't even scanning the room like they were waiting for someone. They were just staring at the wall, blank, still. Half an hour passed. Still no movement. I finally got a break in the crowd and decided to check in. I walked over to their booth, smiling like I always do. "Hey folks, can I get you anything to drink?" The woman didn't even flinch. She kept her eyes locked on the same spot on the wall, like she didn't hear me. But the man, he turned. Slowly, like it took effort. His eyes met mine, and I swear to you, I nearly dropped my tray. They were hollow. I don't mean tired or sad. I mean sunken, black-rimmed, like they'd been rotting behind his face. His skin was pale, gray almost, like candle wax. He looked at me for maybe 3 seconds, then shook his head once. No words, no expression, just that. I mumbled something polite and walked away fast, trying to shake the chill crawling up my spine. I figured maybe they were sick, or mentally unwell. I didn't want to judge, but every time I glanced back after that, he was still staring at me. Her too now. At some point, she'd turned her head and locked eyes with me, both of them just watching without blinking. I tried to focus on work, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. It wasn't fear yet, not exactly, just a deep, creeping wrongness, like the world had slipped sideways and no one else noticed. Then, just like that, they were gone. I didn't see them leave. 1 second they were sitting there, and the next time I looked, the booth was empty. No glasses, no napkins, nothing. Like they were never there at all. After we closed, I asked Lisa if she'd seen them, told her about the couple in the corner booth. She laughed, thought I was messing with her. "I didn't see any old couple tonight," she said. I pressed her, told her I was serious. Lisa frowned, then started rattling off the tables. Group of 5 at the bar, couple on a date by the jukebox, birthday crew near the bathrooms. She remembered everyone, but not them, not the couple. She even pulled the ticket printouts to double-check. No orders from that booth all night. I must have gone pale, because she finally asked if I was okay. I wasn't, not even close. I laughed it off, said maybe I imagined it, maybe I was overtired, but the pit in my stomach said otherwise. I helped clean up, locked the place, and headed for the parking lot. It was just past 2 a.m. Cold. Quiet. The streetlights buzzed overhead like tired flies. That's when I saw them again. Across the street under one of the lights, just standing there. Same clothes, same blank expressions, same dead eyes, like they'd been waiting for me. I froze. They didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there in that weird, rigid stillness. I don't know how long I stared. 10 seconds? A minute? Then something in me snapped. I ran to my car, slammed the door shut, and peeled out of the lot like the ground was on fire. Didn't look back. Couldn't. I drove in silence the whole way home, heart racing, mind spinning. They were real. I knew that now. But no one else saw them. No one else remembered them. That night haunts me, not just because of what I saw, but because of what it means. I've told myself every possible story, ghosts, hallucinations, stress, but none of it feels right. Because here's the part I can't explain, no matter how hard I try. They didn't look like ghosts. They didn't float, didn't shimmer. They didn't speak in riddles or vanish in mist. They just stood there, watching. Like people, like props from some forgotten play, like memories that didn't belong to me. And ever since that night, I can't sit in silence for long. I leave the TV on, I sleep with the lights up, and I never look at that corner booth without feeling a weight in my chest. I still work there, still pour drinks, still smile. But I never saw them again, not once, and yet I feel them, like they're still out there, waiting, watching. And I know what I saw, even if no one else does. They were real, and somehow, I was the only one who could see them.